Freight demo number 2. From demo to disc, this is Anatomy of a Song.
Can we take it from the top?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Anatomy of a Song, where we explore a song's journey from inspiration to composition to recording, all the way to release. Today it's one of my new songs, Carry Me Away. This will be a cut on my next album, Get Back to You. Now, I want this episode to not only explain the genesis of the song, but to further explain the demo and the studio process. Some of you may already know some of this stuff, but I hope it's helpful to some others. So, Carry Me Away had its start at the beginning of a chilly November morning. I was noodling around on guitar in the studio working on another song and fell into this nice interplay between A minor and C. You never know if the little idea is going to turn into something bigger, so I like that interplay, and it's important to get down the basic idea while it's still fresh, even if it's not complete. So start small, build from there. So I took out my phone and I recorded this. This is Carry Me demo number 1 in an A minor. So back and forth between those two chords, A minor and C. Demo tip. Use your phone or whatever you have at hand. I use the voice memo app on my iPhone because it's easy to label the recording. And I want to encourage you not only to label the individual recordings as you do them, but to include the date as well, sometimes even the time. I also do something I did when I recorded movie sound on sets, which I used to do, and that is to start the recording with what we call a head slate. That is, just speak the basic information like the date, time, and anything else in your head, which might help you remember where your head was at when you made the recording. You heard me do that at the beginning of the first demo, and you'll hear that through the subsequent demos as well. And be sure to place the phone close to you in a quiet room. As we like to say in the studio, microphones are dumb. That is, they don't know what not to listen to. So if the TV's on in the background, it'll pick up that sound as well as the demo you're trying to record. And that'll muddy things up and make it harder to hear the essence of what you're recording. One other tip, don't worry about recording the entire process of discovery. Work out just a bit of it, then record that bit. Then turn off your recorder and think about it a bit, work on it some more, then record that bit, and so on. This will make it easier to pull out the bits that are actually relevant to the final song rather than having to weed through this long half-hour discovery where you play around and you try different things. Does that make sense? So, in this first iteration of my song, I particularly like the way the A minor slides into the C. And a little while later, I added a few more chords to the structure and came up with this demo. This is demo number 2 for Carry Me Away, and I've added other chords to the first two. Kind of does this 3 times. Then down to the G, to an F, back to the A minor. Like that. It's nice. The next day I came back to the song and thought it would be good to create an internal section, or what we call a bridge, where a solo instrument could carry along the song. Sometimes we call this the middle 8 because in a lot of songs the bridge is about 8 bars. The Beatles did this a lot. So anyway, what I came up with was this. Carry Me Away, demo 3. It needs a bridge solo, so it's going along in the A minor and the C, and then we'll go to a D minor. So, you know. violin solo. Repeats. Then do an F G. Back to the A minor. And then we'll find a melody someplace. Go to the melody store. Now in that demo, I sang the imagined violin solo. I sang it poorly, but that really doesn't matter at this stage. No one else is going to hear these demos except you, unless of course you start a podcast about it. Again, it's just about getting the structure and the chords at this point. Now sometimes I write the music for a song first, sometimes I write the lyrics first. In this instance, the music came first. And I have a notebook where I keep lyrics that are kind of looking for music. And when I paged through it, I found some lyrics for a song in progress called Carry Me Away. The important thing in those lyrics was the chorus, the words Carry Me Away. It seemed to fit the chorus of this demo if I repeated it 3 times, and this became eventually the backbone of the song. So when I went back to the music, I played with the structure a bit more, and I decided to keep the same chords, the A minor and the C, in the chorus as were in the current verse. With this new idea for structure and the chorus refrain of Carry Me Away, I recorded another demo. The melody and the chorus are sort of the same, so rather than switch to a whole new chord pattern for the chorus, just keep the same A minor C thing going, but just change the melody line. So in the verse. Like that. I came back to the song later in the day and decided to bring it up to C minor, noodled with it some more, and then back down to B minor where it was easier for me to sing. It's important to play around with it and find the best key that fits your voice. I also picked up the pace to about 116 beats per minute. Now these beats per minute are not essential at this point. They will be essential once you get into the studio. So during the demo process, at least get a general idea of what the tempo should be. This next version also has what I call a la-la verse. I do this to lock in the melody. I'll replace the la-las later on once I finish writing the lyrics, but the chorus is locked in for now. This next demo also features the addition of a line, "'Cause we're already gone," which will eventually end each of the verses and lead into the choruses. And in this demo, I also solved another potential issue with another song that I was currently working on. For Carry Me Away, this is demo 5, I realized that in the A minor and the C, it's too close to a song I've already written called And I Answer. This is kind of a sister song, but it doesn't need to have the same, it's got a similar chord structure. So I realized 2 things. First of all, I'm going to take it up 2 steps to B minor, which makes it easier to sing. And also, the pace will be different than And I Answer. So more like, and I've come up with a melody that works for the verse and the chorus. I also want to point out that you can hear me explaining where I am within this demo. This is useful to put on the demo recording in my case because I'm usually working on several different ideas at one time. And the verbal notes that you hear help me remember where I was at that time and where I thought I was going at that time. That, of course, changes over time. This new version had a kind of galloping feel to it, definitely more forward momentum. Not sure where it's going at this point, but again, the song will eventually tell me where it wants to go. So a few days after that, while driving into town, I often do some of my best composing in my head while I'm driving. I kept going back to the slower version. It had a really nice contemplative feel, and when I got back home, I recorded yet another demo, this time at a much slower tempo at about 108 beats per minute. Here's that demo. Carry Me Away, I think it's demo 6, and it occurred to me that the earlier, slower version, now that I'm up in B minor, might be worth revisiting. So this is a sort of a slower, more contemplative version of it in B minor. We're already gone. Oh, carry me away. Oh, carry me away. Oh, carry me away. Carry me away to tomorrow. Might be something worth exploring, revisiting. Of course, the problem is only one version can go on the album, so which one to pursue? I liked them both for different reasons. It then occurred to me what I could do is release one as an advanced single for the album, and then put the faster version on the album itself. So now, I'm done with the demos on my phone. I think I've got the song pretty much where I want it to be, and I'll move into the studio. The work changes from demo mode to studio mode. The work that I've done, refining the song through the demo process, will pay off in clear ideas as to what I want to lay down in the studio by laying down the best ideas that have come out of the demo process. The first thing I do in the studio is to settle on a tempo. In this case, the faster version, it's 116 beats per minute. The next is to record on one track what I call a scratch guitar and vocal track. It's kind of like a road map for the rest of the song, very important as you go through the process. You just put up one mic, play the song on your guitar. Here's a guitar right here, and if I were just to do it and bang in the mic there, just kind of like, la 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 la. Verse 1, bum bum bum. Da 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 da, la 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 la. Chorus, bow, oh, carry me away, oh, carry me away, and like that. So you just shout out the changes as you go through it. Now, we have the demo process because it's best to work things out before you go into the studio, because studio time is expensive. So as I started to lay down tracks, Carry Me Away started to change. One of the things I added was an intro part in this next demo, kind of a slow eighth note, choppy buildup on an acoustic guitar. 1, 2, 1, 2. Verse 1. One other thing that came through on the studio demo was an idea for a violin part over the tag or the ending part of the song, which I, again, kind of a la-la track, did in the background. Singing it poorly, but at least it gives you an idea as you're going through the recording that I can then sing it back to the violin player when he comes in. So here's that demo. With this track done, you can start recording one by one the keeper or finished tracks. You build the song track by track, but the foundation of the song is now solid. Think of building a house, right? Every house begins with the laying of a solid foundation on which to build the upper floors or layers. A faulty foundation in a house leads to problems later on. Same thing in a song. Keep in mind that in the studio, two of the most important elements are tempo and tune. Make sure your instruments are in tune and make sure that you follow the tempo. I do this by listening to a click track. If you don't know how to follow a click track, learn. It'll save your life a lot and save a lot of time in the studio later on. So, now that I've recorded all the tracks, guitars, synthesizers, percussion, bass, vocals, I do what I call a rough mix of the finished version. Here's a little bit of one of the rough mixes. We're leaving in the morning, so go and pack your stuff. We're gonna hit the road, 'cause we finally had enough of someone else's nightmare and lonely yesterdays, and we're already gone. We could feel it coming, like a rustle in the trees, the changing of the seasons, the changing of the leaves, a fate laid out before us, reflected in the stars, 'cause we're already gone. Oh, carry me away, oh, carry me away, oh, carry me away. Carry me away till tomorrow. You can hear the complete finished version on Spotify or wherever you stream your music. And the slow version? Well, that's going to be released in advance of the album as a single. Before I go, I wanted to add a note about copyright. You've written this amazing song and you can't wait to share it with your friends. So you send along one of your demos or a studio rough mix for them to hear. Now, once you push send, you no longer have complete control over your song, because once it's out there, it's out there. If it gets shared beyond your first recipient, someone on the other side of the world might hear it and appropriate the chords and melody and then copyright it in their name, and you'd be left out in the cold. If you want to avoid all that, simply copyright the song. You can do this through the Library of Congress Copyright Office. Their web address is www.copyright.gov. Now make sure you're on the GOV, the government site, and not one of the many sites that offer for a fee to copyright your song for you. In fact, if you write in a Google search, copyright a song, you actually have to scroll down, 4 or 5 until you get to the government site. But it's the GOV site. Make sure you're on that side, right? Unless you want to pay a fee, but they really don't. It really isn't that much easier for them to do it because you still have to answer all the basic questions you're going to have to do when you're on the government side. So the process of copyrighting a song online is a bit of a pain the first time through, but it's easy to get the hang of it. And there's even a phone number, believe it or not, you can call with someone in the government who will help you through the process. Once you've copyrighted the song, you're safe to spread it around as much as you like. Just a word to the wise, as they say. Oh, carry me away. Oh, carry me away. Oh, carry me away. Carry me away until tomorrow. And that's our episode for today. Anatomy of a Song was written and produced at The Sawmill in Blairsville, Georgia. As always, feel free to contact me with your questions and or your thoughts about your own composing and recording process. Our email address is, it's one long word, anatomyofasongpodcast@gmail.com. I'm your host, Greg Smith. We'll see you next time on Anatomy of a Song. Oh, carry me away.